War Room sports fans, it is with heavy heart that my brothers and I bring to you episode 235. This week, the world lost a gem, a sports media legend. Mr. Stuart Scott succumbed to his battle with cancer. This evening, we lift him up with memories as sports journalist Rob Parker stops by to share some of his recollections. NBA veteran shooting guard Ronnie Brewer also stops by to share a draft day recollection. And we cover the usual, the NBA, the NFL, current happenings and goings on. Sit back, relax, and recall how Stuart Scott brought light to the world and joy to the sports arena. Episode 235 begins now.
Blog Talk Radio.
Think. That very same year in 1993, a talented young journalist named Stuart Scott joined ESPN. Stuart would soon become one of the most recognizable and beloved Sports Center anchors ever, and forever change the tone and language of sports broadcasting. But he didn't just add phrases like booyah and cooler than the other side of the pillow to the lexicon. He brought his wit, his attitude, and a lust for life all his own. In November 2007, sadly, Stuart was diagnosed with cancer. True to his form, Stuart shared his experiences fighting this disease with us while managing to do extraordinary things in the face of seemingly unsurmountable odds. Stuart's journey has been full of great challenges, but even greater has been the love from his family. And like the great man his award is named for, Stuart has never, ever given up.
Welcome to the war room. We got Dev, Kill, Jimmy, PJ, B. Austin, and Hot Block Commander. Give it to you how you want it in the 1 or 2 hour show to keep the brain running with the premise to talk sports on a national level. Bold with the topics, sorta like some rebels. When it's game time, they like the Fab Five during prime time. Sports conglomerates speak their minds a little bit. For sports medicine and sports veterans and greats. The 4th and 26th, so the war in Kuwait. It's the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified and educated.
Rest in eternal power, Stuart Scott. Welcome, everyone. You are once again live in the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports on the WRS Podcast Network. I'm Devin McMillan. I'm here at the round table with my partners, Jimmy the Blueprint Williams and B. Austin. As you guys know, the week was marred by the death of a pioneer in our industry, but under tough circumstances, we still have another great show for you guys today, and the entire episode is dedicated to the memory of the great Stuart Scott. So buckle up, keep it locked right here, and join us right now in the JW Philly Realty chat room at blogtalkradio.com /The War Room, or join us on Facebook or Twitter at War Room Sports so you can be a part of the conversations as well. You can also call us directly when we open up the Digital Extreme Tech Hotline. That number is 323-410-0012. We'll probably open that at about 6:30. That's about 30 minutes into the show. And you guys can call in and give us your favorite Stuart Scott memories. But before we get started, you know we got to give shout-outs to the other shows on the War Room Sports Podcast Network. You can listen to our network from our main site. That's warroomsports.com. Or you can get there directly at WRSPN.com. You'll find great shows such as The Broad Street Line with Roy and Chris, After Further Review 2.0, a.k.a. The Sideline Pass with the Mayor, The Tissue and the Tape Hip Hop Show with Phil and Savad, Sports Trap Radio with Brandon and Anthony, and a whole lot more. You can also check the listings over at fatsradio.com. That's PHATZ radio.com. Check those listings for airtimes of all your favorite WRSPN sports shows, just the sports shows, including our show, The War Room, which airs over there Sundays and Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Fellas, man, it's been a tough week, man. But look, being a growing part of this industry, man, how did the news of Stu Scott's passing hit you guys?
Man, it hit kind of hard because as you grow and as you get older, just generally speaking, as a human being,
I think once you hit about your mid-30s and you can look back at life and see someone that has been on TV creating memories for you for 10, 15, 20 years, that time span doesn't seem like it's that long, and they kind of grow with you. So it's like, I don't even think of Stuart Scott as being 49 or being, it's just like, damn, somebody that I grew up with isn't here anymore. And it's like, it's kind of painful, and rest in power, as we said, and my condolences to his family and friends. And I mean, he will be sorely missed. I can't even really think of anything even corny about Stu Scott. Like, he was just a really, really cool part of ESPN, and also, as everybody is kind of mentioning, kind of represented the hip hop generation in a very intelligent and articulate way at ESPN and in sports in general. So it kind of
for me, it definitely hit hard, and ESPN didn't make it any better with some of their tributes, man. It was like completely sad. I told you dudes, like, we were having conversations. I was like, yo, I'm sitting up here like, shedding thug tears watching this coverage, because he meant so much to so many people, and specifically us as young African American males, growing up loving sports and building our own brand to cover sports. It's no way that we can say we weren't influenced by Stuart Scott. That would just be a lie, because what he meant to journalism influenced not only us, but some of the people that we deal with or talk to. I mean, it's amazing. Like, I look up to a lot of broadcasters. Let's keep it real. We all have our favorites. Everybody knows I'm a huge Bob Costas fan. Dan Patrick, Oberman, and speaking of Dan Patrick and Oberman and Stuart Scott, those were three guys who I literally will watch the show not for the sports but for them. You know what I mean? Right. Like Dan Patrick and Oberman, when they worked together, that was like magic. And then just watching Stuart Scott come up and talk like I talk. Talking to Brent when it first happened, it was crazy, because we went away. We were away at college in like late 90s. We literally used to sit up to watch Stuart Scott. I know you guys were in Howard at the same time, so we would sit up just to watch Stuart Scott, in our dorms, like, forget who played, just to hear what he would say. So it definitely hit hard. All the moving tributes, like, hit you or whatever, but it's one of those things, like, you just assume someone's going to be there. Even when he's sick, you're just like, oh, he'll get over. You know what I mean? He's going to beat it. But, that's cancer, by the way.
Yo, Jimmy, that's crazy that you say it like that, because that is exactly how I assumed it. Like, I was just like, I took it for granted. Like, man, dude, young, like, it ain't going to do nothing. It'll be right back. That's exactly
how I do that. Like, not just with Stuart Scott, but, like, with loved ones and family and friends, man. Like, don't take days for granted, man, because you just never know. You know what I mean?
Right. And Stuart Scott, man, he's definitely a pioneer to a certain, way of broadcasting, and like Jimmy said, we'd be crazy to even sit here and try to act like he hasn't influenced us in any way, or wasn't one of our inspirations. It's not like when you tune into a War Room Sports broadcast, it just sounds like a hip-hop record, but at the same time, we know that we can be a little lax on with the perfect proper English words and grammar at all times, because we have an audience now who accepts the fact that, okay, sometimes you could just get on here and talk like you would talk amongst your friends. And at the same time, we can go the other way and be grammatically perfect when we need to. But Stuart Scott opened that door, because when he first started, doing the things and saying the things that he used to say on SportsCenter, people were like dumbfounded, like, yo, did he really just say that? And then it just became normal. And other SportsCenter anchors started doing the same thing. It didn't even matter their color, white, black, whatever. That started to be like the SportsCenter way, comedy and hip hop culture, within their
pop culture.
He got so many sons, man, in terms of guys that it came like on specifically ESPN2. That's where a lot of the new guys start. When you watch that, like, yo, he just got sons that some of them go overboard with it, but like
grandson
it'll live with the letters. It'll live within the 4 letters forever.
All right. Well, of course, we're going to talk a little bit more about this later in the show, and we're actually going to have some of his, one of his former colleagues, Rob Parker, call in and give a quick reflection. NBA veteran Ronnie Brewer also wanted to call in and say a little something about Stuart Scott. So we'll take those calls probably in about 30 minutes. So right now, Jimmy, let everybody else know what else happened this week while they were on that good grind.
Who may have been living under a rock and never heard our show, it's one thing you need to know, and that's why you were on a grind is brought to you by DirecTV. If you'd like a better TV experience than cable has to offer, including NFL Sunday Ticket, go to our website, warroomsports.com, click on that DirecTV logo, and order a better TV experience at a discounted War Room Sports sign-up rate. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to have DirecTV. No bout of doubt it. And yes, I said that on purpose. Gentlemen, this week, we should create a new segment like as the NFL turns, because this is getting out of control. Saints, Junior Galette arrested on domestic charges. After everything that's happened this year, like, this is still going on. What do you guys think about the story?
Yourself. The story goes like this. Well, his charge is misdemeanor simple battery involving domestic violence, of course, for allegedly pushing a woman to the ground by trying to get her to leave his home. Now, the woman and Junior Galette have different accounts of their relationship, let alone the story. She says she used to stay with Galette and has continued to do things such as cook and clean for him during the past 2 years. Florence. He said she's a dancer who was supposed to leave the night before, but was allowed to stay into the morning. So somebody doesn't know their role in this situation. The woman called the police to the scene because they said he was trying to get her out the house, and he pushed her twice while trying to get her out. Then after she fell, he and his homie jumped on her and she couldn't breathe. Then she said his homie, Terrence Banks Jr., then picked her up and took her out of the house, taking her phone away as she tried to dial 911. They said when the police came to the scene, she had visible injuries, including blood coming from her ear because her earring was supposedly ripped out in the melee. So that's the story. Before you guys get started on this, I just want to say, look, man, y'all know what it is now. After the Ray Rice thing, they're strict on this. So, like, why would you even start to put your hands on a woman if you're trying to push her out of the house? Whatever you're trying to do, don't do it. There's a better way. So now you're going to be in the system. Now you're going to be also in the NFL system. You know, they got minimums for this now. So we'll see if Junior Galette is if it counts towards that minimum.
You must don't watch the same commercials I do when they got all the players making them weirdo faces. You know what I mean? Talking about we got to have this conversation. Like, yo, I mean,
he didn't see Chris Carter cry.
Yeah, like, yo, first off, I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you guys. I don't know who this dude is. I ain't never heard of this jabroni. So,
yo, and he played at Temple. That's even worse, Jimmy.
Yo, so with
I
that
say you
being
don't know
said,
Junior Galette.
No, not at all. But here's the thing, though. My point in saying that is Junior Galette is not a household name, right?
Right.
So, what you think they're going to do to you?
It
ain't like Drew Brees. You ain't no Drew Brees, doggy. You ain't no Jimmy Graham even.
Junior, the Haitian sensation. You're 6'2", you're 260 pounds. You play in the NFL. You're at this point, you know, you're probably not. You're definitely not a household name. Your roster spot is definitely not safe. But we can go ahead and say that you're a world-class athlete, and you beating chicks up to get them out your house. In any, like, there's really no way to slice something like this where he comes out looking good. I mean, your decision making, dog. Your decision making.
I mean, unless she just straight up lying.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only other possible situation. But the marks on her body and the blood didn't come from her, unless she's really that psychotic. In which case, you should have got rid of her a long MFing time ago. Man, like everybody else is saying, you don't watch the news. You don't see what is going on. I mean, there's been enough cases and examples of household names dealing with this and dealing with domestic violence. The NFL is taking a stand. The players are taking a stand. And the public, quite frankly, is probably, I don't know, we're brutish and barbaric in the public, but we're probably getting tired of hearing about huge, mammoth NFL men putting their hands on women. So, yo, Junior, change your life up.
Yeah, because we all know now after the whole Ray Rice situation, how they handled it, they have baseline punishments now. So, the baseline is 6 games without pay for first offenses. The policy does say that consideration will be given to any quote unquote aggravating or mitigating factors. So he's going to have to prove that there were some aggravating or mitigating factors to get out of this one as far as the NFL is concerned. But until we hear another story and you're vindicated, Junior. You should be ashamed of yourself. The way you carry
yourself. Next story, gentlemen. 2 U.S. ski team prospects have died in an avalanche. R.I.P.
Man, this sad story, man. I don't have much to say about it. I don't follow U.S. skiing that tough, but rest in peace to Ronnie Burlack, 20 years old, and Bryce Astle, 19 years old. They said they were near the Rettenbach Glacier in the mountains over Soldin, wherever that is, somewhere in the Austrian Alps. And something they did actually caused the avalanche. Now, I believe it was maybe 6 skiers on the slope at the time. The other 4 actually got out of harm's way. And, of course, these 2 guys didn't make it. But, that's a sad story. That is sad.
Yo, rest in peace, man. Rest in peace. That's a rough way to go. There's certain ways that you think about death, and I don't mean to be a morbid dude, but I'm cool. I'm really cool on drowning, and I'm really cool on being hit by a whole lot of snow and making me immobile. Like, those are 2 horrible ways to go. So, yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of like suffocation and hypothermia all at the same time. That's, make it quick.
Yeah,
make it quick.
No one wants to go that way. Trying to go let me shut up. Next story, everybody watched the Cowboys game. Everybody saw the controversial call, or should I say calls at this point. But the controversy on that particular call brings heavy officiating Blandino's. His party bus exploits back to the spotlight. He was seen on a Cowboys party bus. People complained about it. What do you guys think about this story?
Back in August or something, right?
Yeah. Also, what do you think about the Cowboys party bus, man?
Well, my whole thing with the whole Cowboys party bus, it actually sounds like a great place to be because Jerry Jones just looked like a dude that knows how to party. Yeah. This bus is actually in California because their training camp is in Oxnard. So I can understand back then there were a lot of NFL executives from different teams complaining when TMZ dropped the photo of the head of officiating getting off the Dallas Cowboys party bus. And like Jimmy said, the controversy from this weekend's game just brought all of that back to the spotlight because they're thinking now, like, it's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there about that call, which we will talk about later when we talk about, the NFL playoffs. But, it raises eyebrows. I don't know if I'm much of a conspiracy theorist when it comes to this kind of stuff, but hey, it looks bad. Like, why is the head of officiating partying with, anyone from any team, specifically and exclusively? It seems kind of messed up. So, but my before you go, B. Austin, my advice to all of the other executives from other teams that complained, man, all I got to tell them is get your party bus game up, and you won't have to worry about the Dallas Cowboys, getting favorable and preferential treatment just because they party better than you do. So step your game up.
I got to start there. One of the things that I try not to do is be a hypocrite. So I acknowledge when things may be a little off color or wrong, but I'm not going to sit here and poop on Jerry Jones for taking advantage of the fact that he's a billionaire and living a carefree and wonderful life with young toots. and Myra's. So if I was in this position, I would have a party plane, a party boat, a party bus. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, on the other side of that, Dean,
and I'd invite every ref in the league to come party.
Yo, I would invite every official, every person that I needed to influence for anything.
The dudes who hold the chains, I'm talking about. Chain gang.
Everybody has an open invitation, and I will show them the best time of their life. But it's really the onus is on the official. Why would you do that? Why? What makes you think that it was cool to accept that invitation? Because now perception is reality. So regardless of whether the conspiracy theorists are true, you've legitimized their complaints because of the egregious way that your crew handled that game and those particular calls and questions. So now you look like an a-hole, like you look silly.
I can answer your question, B, of why he did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can answer your question of why he probably did it. I think it's because nobody thinks that they're famous enough for TMZ to be snapping photos of them until it actually happens. You're probably like, man, I'm just officiating. Nobody knows me, but TMZ is everywhere. They know everybody. So they know. If you've been on TV one time, TMZ knows who you are. So watch your back out there.
TMZ is Illuminati is basically what you're saying.
Basically. But we'll talk more about the actual officiating and of that game a little later in the show.
Dean Blandino, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh yeah, the way that he probably should get one.
You should be ashamed of yourself. The way you carry yourself.
JoJo.
Yo, how about this story, yo? Speak of partying, which leads to drugs. Adam Vinatieri, was considered everywhere this past week. I know Devin made a comment we were talking on the game, and Devin was like, "Yo, I can't even
during the game.
You don't miss."
Yeah.
I guess somebody else felt the same way, yo, and he was randomly. That's air quotes, you guys. Randomly drug tested after a 53-yard field goal. Yo, what do you guys think about this, man? Like him being randomly drug tested after he went out there and looked like the greatest kicker ever.
I don't think about it.
No, I can't say I blame him though, because all right, let me tell you like the conversation, what I was talking about, when we were talking during the game. I don't know if y'all have it, but it's like certain people in sports that you want to always believe that they're overrated, but they just keep proving you wrong. Again and again and again. And he's one of those people. Like for me, for a long time, Tom Brady was even one of those guys. But that didn't last very long. Like I used to be like, I think Tom Brady is a little bit overrated. And then, Tom Brady is better. He was, he's a better quarterback even after the championships. So that didn't last too long. Vinatieri was the same way. I used to think like, it's not like this dude is knocking in 50-yarders here, every week and this and that. They put him in great positions, but I can't even hate on dude. He always makes the kick no matter what. But when he made the 53-yarder, I thought the same thing, Jimmy and B, because he doesn't even kick off for that team. So I'm like, what is he doing kicking 53-yarders and looking like he had room to spare on that? He could have made that from 63 yards. And he doesn't even kick off for his team because his leg has never been that strong. So I'm not surprised that they tested him.
How long does it take the result to come back?
I don't know. They might be. They get on a run. They might be champions by the time that happens.
Yeah, that's true too.
Wow.
I want to see if he's indeed using and prospering. Because then what'll happen is next year he'll come back and be terrible. You know what I mean? Sort of like LeBron, never mind.
But you know who brought this to light?
GH is going?
I know. You know who tweeted this? Pat McAfee, the punter, who kicks off for Vinatieri. He posted it on Twitter the other day and was like, he posted the actual letter that they sent to Adam. It looked like it had been balled up, so he must have went behind Vinatieri, took it out the trash can, and took a photo of it. But it says, when you're closer to 60 than 20 and bang a 53-yarder, 3/4 of the way up the upright. This type of thing is expected. #GOAT. And as far as kickers go, he might be the GOAT kicker, even though I tried to slight him for all of these years. He might be the GOAT kicker.
That's a great question. Like, who else could be the GOAT kicker? Like, who's even in contention to be the GOAT kicker outside of Adam Vinatieri? Like,
ball that had the half a foot.
Nah, he ain't the GOAT
forever.
The GOAT kicker. He just had the long for a while, but
Jason,
I don't know.
Man, too, because Jason tried that.
I would say the
Yo, why are we talking about kickers? They're not even human beings.
Morton and Gary Anderson, but they don't have the hardware that he has as far as Super Bowl champions. So it might have to be him.
Wasn't that Gary that sold the farm for the Vikings when they had like the best record in the league and they came down to the field goal to go to the chip? And
yeah, that's him.
Yo, shout out to Gary Anderson because I honestly
Gary Anderson kicked till he was like 76.
No, but listen to this though, and I say this with all honesty. This is me being completely honest. If he would have made that kick, we would have lost the bowl. We couldn't beat Minnesota. The fact of the matter is they lost to the Dirty Birds, and then we dusted them off. But if he makes that field goal, yo, that changes everything because the Vikings were like 15-1 that year. He had made every field goal, like he didn't miss anything, and it came down to the last field goal to win the game against the Dirty Birds, and he missed it.
Shaving. And for first-time listeners, when Jimmy says we, he's talking about his beloved Denver Broncos.
Oh, absolutely, because we went on to play the Dirty Birds. If we'd have played that Vikings team, that's the year I think Randall was balling and Randy Moss was cooking. Chris Carter, Jake Reed,
Randall was out of his world.
Chris Carter was roasting. They all had a different. They had like a potluck every week.
Yo, they was drawn, and it ended up losing because of a kicker. As Manning would say, liquored up kicker. But anyway, that's the Vinatieri story. One last story I want to bring up to you guys, man, and get you guys' opinion on this, man. One of the War Room heroes, man, our favorite athlete of all time, Mike Tyson. Another story leaks out about Mike Tyson in a book that one of his homies wrote. Talks about how Mike Tyson confronted Michael Jordan about allegedly sleeping with Robin Gibbs and was about to give Mike that work.
Yo, Rory Holloway, one of Mike Tyson's handlers back then, he's writing a book, and he put this story in his book. So, the accounts are being disputed by people who were there. Richard Dent was there. Mike Ditka was supposedly there. Michael Jordan, Mike Tyson. I think they were celebrating Richard Dent's birthday after a Bulls game. Let me read to y'all what the dude said. This is his recollection of the story, Rory Holloway. He said, Mike Tyson's sitting there with his drink of choice, a Long Island iced tea, and when he drinks, his real feelings come out. I'm telling the server to water his drinks down because I see where this is going. Stares across the table at Michael Jordan. He says, hey, man, you think I'm stupid? I know you F with my BITCH, my tender chicken hawk. Jordan looks like he's just seen a ghost. I know you mess with her, Mike says. You can tell me. It was a circus for real that night. Don King trying to change the subject. Me and John trying to hold Mike down. Mike telling everyone he's going to bust Jordan's ass. Jordan dressed sharp as always. What the hell is he talking about? And he can't get out of there fast enough. So Mike, and I guess he eventually got up and left so he wouldn't be a part of that wreck because it would have been a wreck. And what is this dude's fashion sense like if he said Michael Jordan was sharp as always?
Yo.
Yo, that right there makes me not want to buy his book.
Yo.
Because obviously he's a liar. That right there also makes
I actually have some stories that I've heard firsthand accounts of Michael Jordan that make me believe 100% that this is true. Never mind the fact that Mike Tyson doesn't lie. He's incapable. And as this gentleman said, the more chemicals are in his body, the more open, honest, and candid the truth becomes. I totally believe this story. I totally 112% believe this story to be true. And I believe that he would have ended Michael Jordan's career. And God bless him.
Well, they did ask Mike Tyson about it, Jim. And
that was my
when they
question.
asked, Mike said,
I'm the most brutal and vicious and most ruthless champion there's ever been. There's no one can stop me. Lynx is a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. He's no Alexander. I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody as ruthless. I'm Sonny Liston. I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me. My style is impetuous. My defense is impregnable. And I'm just ferocious. I want your heart. I want to eat his children. Praise be to Allah.
And there you have it.
Then Mike got up out of there.
Right? One thing that has to go on Michael Jordan's resume is he has the single greatest audio ever invented by far, and there's nothing that can touch it. And there's stories like this throughout that entire book, like, celebrities and non-celebrities. Like, Mike Tyson's life is, made for movie. Simple as that. So part of me wants to believe this. Mike himself tells stories that, like, make this one laughable. Like, some of the stories in this book, like, are so much crazier than this that this is easily believable.
Yeah. All right, man. Well,
yeah, man.
I definitely believe it. And shout out to John Jones being on coke now.
Yeah, so shout out to John Jones for getting caught being coked up or whatever after his amazing win over Daniel Cormier. Like so he checked himself in. Just want to put that out there real quick, man. I know we got to move on, though, but John Jones, we got to give you a JoJo award, man. You definitely deserve one, yo. Hit that up, yo.
Somebody wanted to give him some advice first, and then he get his.
Stay away from the crack, which I think is pretty good advice, unless you can manage it so.
Okay.
You should be ashamed of yourself. The way you
All right,
he can manage it socially.
No doubt. But before we get to Fred Perdue of collegefootballextra.com about this national championship game coming up on Monday, I'm going to let you guys out there know who in sports is having a birthday this week, and then I'll let you guys know how to get in touch with us when you need to do some business with the War Room. The birthdays, as usual, brought to you by Digital Extreme Technology. Do you or your business need a custom website? Well, for dynamic, professional, and most of all, affordable custom website solutions, you need Digital Extreme Technologies. No need to break the bank for an effective online presence. Top quality, results-driven websites at incredibly affordable prices. Financing options also available. So visit digitalextremetech.com or call 267-205-4203. And for discounted rates, be sure to tell them that War Room Sports sent you. All right, so in the world of sports this week, on the birthday tip, we have MLB pitcher John Lester turns 31. Marquise Daniels, NBA player, he turns 34 this week. Shout out to him. Baseball player Alfonso Soriano turns 39. Well, I should say former baseball player. Retired NBA player Todd Day. I remember Todd Day. He turned 45 this week. And another retired NBA player, Willie Anderson. I think Willie used to play like shooting guard for the San Antonio Spurs or something. He turns 48. So we want to give a nice big War Room salute to all of these folks on their birthday.
Yay!
And what we like you guys to do while you're not listening to us, or even if you're doing it while you're listening to us, just get on the internet and check out our website at warroomsports.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for the War Report. That's our weekly newsletter. Click on the Contact Us tab to send us a message about our company, our show, or to inquire about sponsorship and advertising opportunities. For general inquiries, email us, info@warroomsports.com. While you're browsing the site, click on the memorabilia tab to buy War Room Sports merchandise. Click the blog tab to read our latest articles in the All's Fair and Sports and War blog. Then click the respective icons and tabs to like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our iTunes podcast, watch our webcast at warroomsportstv.com, listen to the radio network at WRSPN.com, and to download our free War Room Sports mobile app on iOS and Android to get everything I just mentioned on the go. Join the JW Philly Realty chat room right now during the show at blogtalkradio.com/the War Room. To enter the chat room, just sign up for a free profile on Blog Talk Radio. If you don't want to create an account, You can sign in through your Facebook and Twitter accounts, and while you're at it, click follow to get updates and reminders about the show. We'll be taking questions and reading posts from Facebook, Twitter, and the chat room during the show. But if you want to call in and speak with us, dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline at 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk, and we'll be opening the hotline right after we talk a little bit about the national championship game, Oregon versus Ohio State, with Fred Perdue of collegefootballextra.com. During that time, when we do open the hotline, we're going to be taking calls for people to give their reflections, if you want to call in and do that, on Stuart Scott, and any positive memories you may have about him. At that time, we also should hear from his former colleague Rob Parker, Ronnie Brewer from the NBA, and a few more people. So let's go to the line because we have Fred Perdue. Fred, you are in the war room. What's going on, good bro?
How you guys doing?
We are good. We're chilling, man. We talk the sports thing. We get excited about it.
You doing better than your picks last week.
Yeah, doing better than those picks, man. You guys might be doing better than this weather down here in Florida too. Woke up to 39-degree weather.
No, we're not doing better.
Yeah, this is in Florida.
I woke up. It was 8 degrees, so we're not doing better than that.
Okay, yeah,
7 degrees where I live.
You guys keep that.
Yeah, we got that Midwest type weather right now. We got that Minnesota, Michigan type, Illinois type weather. All right, but the big game is coming up Monday. First year of the college football playoffs. So far, by all accounts, it seems to have been a success. Oregon versus Ohio State. How is it going to go down? Who are the key players? What do you see? Give us your preview.
Wow, I didn't expect these two teams to end up here. Ohio State, definitely not after losing Braxton Miller and J.T. Barrett. Can you just say logjam at quarterback? Big time. But Cardale Jones has handled business. Urban Meyer keeps solidifying why his offense is one of the most adaptable offenses in college football. It doesn't matter who you put at quarterback. As long as you can run the football, you can do that. But at the same time, you have Oregon. And Oregon's a team that I kind of thought could possibly challenge Florida State, but I didn't think they could beat Florida State with speed, running sideline to sideline instead of north and south. And they just completely drubbed Florida State. They were the one team that didn't forget how to score in the second half. This is going to be a good game. It's going to be probably a low-scoring game, and I know that sounds weird saying Oregon doesn't score a lot of points, Ohio State doesn't score a lot of points, but when you have this much, you have a week or so to prepare for it, and you have good coaches. I mean, you have Urban Meyer, a guy who's a defensive guy, a special teams guy, going all the way back to his days at Bowling Green, his days at Florida and Utah. His defenses and his special teams have always been great. He's always had a pretty good quarterback that can do a little bit of everything. But when you have Marcus Mariota, and as good as he's been, and a healthy offensive line, it's going to be very tough for an Ohio State defense led by Joey Bosa, Michael Bennett, the rest of those guys, to really contain him. And also, you're playing on a fast surface in Jerry World. That's going to have something to do with it as well. Oregon's going to be moving the ball up and down the field, lots of bubble screens, lots of read options. The typical stuff I know you guys aren't big college guys, but what you see from Chip Kelly is the same thing. Mark Helfrich he was the offensive coordinator in title per se when Chip Kelly was at Oregon, and it's the same offense essentially. But on the other side, you have a defense in Ohio State that is built like an SEC defense. Urban Meyer has gone down to the south and gotten guys like Von Bell, Joey Bosa, from down in my neck of the woods in Florida. Shout out to St. Thomas Aquinas High School. But you really have to appreciate an Ohio State team that isn't afraid to go and recruit, especially when you're a national name. I think this game is going to come down to one or two big plays, and I know that's a cliche, but I really think it's going to come down to a special teams play. And I really think Ohio State's going to win this one. They're physical up front, and they're going to do what they did to Oregon few years back when Terrell Pryor was under center for Jim Tressel, and you had the Jeremiah Masolis. I know I'm going back a little while, but they played in the Rose Bowl a couple years back, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and that was the result. Ohio State completely physically outmanned those guys. Well, Ohio State still looks the same way. They're big, they're physical, they're fast, and Cardale Jones, he can throw the football. He does what Braxton Miller couldn't do at all, and he does what J.T. Barrett can do a little bit. He's big, he's 250 pounds, he's about 6'6". He can throw the ball down the field, but he can move a little bit. I'm impressed. And J.T. Barrett might want to watch out for his job because at the end of the day, there is a next season and there will be a quarterback competition. But right now we're looking at Ohio State. I think they will win this game. It's going to be close. It may be a 3 to 5 point game. I don't think it's going to be some blowout. I don't think Ohio State is just going to completely destroy these guys. I think it'll come down to a fourth quarter stop. I think a score around the way of 31-28 would suffice.
31-28 who?
Ohio State.
Ohio State? Going out on a limb, in my opinion. But, I'm sure everybody in the state of Ohio agrees.
Not to mention Ohio State has unlimited practice time, and Oregon was only limited to 20 hours. They're not saying nothing about that, though.
All right. Well, no doubt. Well, Fred, tell everybody where they can get in touch with you online. Tell them where you're going to be all weekend leading up to this game and where you're going to be live tweeting once the game starts.
You guys can reach me on Twitter at FPurdueSports. Always out there tweeting, going back and forth with people. It's what I love to do. Just debating football. It's a good thing to do. You can also visit collegefootballextra.com. All the latest and greatest content up there on the website. You can also catch me in the war room doing Field Vision. Some of my NFL picks aren't the greatest, but it's a good entertainment show. So make sure you check out for that. When you have a quarterback like Jay Cup.
World-class wrecking troll.
All right, so thanks again, man, and we'll talk to you next week after the dust has settled and we have ourselves a national champion. We'll talk about, the aftermath. So we'll wrap to you next week, Fred.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, no doubt. That's Fred Purdue, everybody. collegefootballextra.com. Catch him on Twitter, like he said, at FPurdueSports. And you can catch him in Field Vision with us. That's on warroomsportstv.com. All right. So we got I see we got a few people on the line. So we're gonna get back into this Stu Scott conversation and take some calls and see what people have to say about Brother Stu. But that's a part of our Hot Topics segment. And Jimmy, you want to let everybody know who Hot Topics are brought to them by?
Absolutely. Hot Topics are brought to you by Audible. Is your schedule too hectic to read as much as you want? Well, try audiobooks and kick back and let someone else do reading for you. All you have to do is visit Audible, and that's at audibletrial.com/warroomsports. That will enable you to get a free audiobook so you can try out the service. No need to pay for the book, even if you decide you no longer want the service. Just go to audibletrial.com/warroomsports. My recommendation, just based upon our conversation this evening, is the Mike Tyson biography. It's the greatest audiobook ever, bar none. I said it. My stamp of approval. So go to audibletrial.com/warroomsports and, get it set up right there.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? This is Jamel Hill, the Hers from His and Hers on ESPN2, and you are in the War Room on the War Room Sports Podcast Network.
All right, so we spoke about it a little bit earlier as we came in this evening. The sad news that we all got earlier in the week that Stu Scott had passed away. The fellas gave their thoughts on what their feelings were when they actually heard that. Jimmy mentioned something earlier, and I agree with you, Jim. Like watching ESPN or even other networks, like after it happened, it was the saddest thing ever, man. Like I watched Rich Eisen on the NFL Network basically give a little speech and broke down crying while he was doing it, man. So it's like a lot of people, even though a lot of these folks were just colleagues with him, it seems like, their friendships were pretty genuine. And we actually have one of Stu Scott's former colleagues on the line with us now as well. So we're going to go to the Digital Extreme Tech hotline to a friend of the show, Rob Parker. Rob, what's going on, man? It's been a while.
Sure has, and Happy New Year to everybody. How you doing?
Same to you, man. Happy New Year.
Good, Rob. Happy New Year to you too, brother.
Appreciate it.
And thanks for taking a few minutes to to call in with us tonight. We just wanted to get your thoughts, when you heard the news of Stu Scott, because we know that, that's somebody that somebody that you're familiar with, and you knew what he was going through, being a former colleague of his. How did it hit you, when you got the news, and what are your reflections on Stu Scott?
Well, it's kind of like, the guy, and I knew what he was going through. And, when I was working there, I would see him and chat a little bit. And, but, you knew what was going on. And I know there was a report about a month or 2 months earlier that he had passed. And Stu went to Twitter and let everybody know that it wasn't true, or that he had gone to hospice, I think.
Going to hospice, yeah.
What it was. Yeah. And so, that little thing out there kind of like put me on alert. But still, when I heard the news, it still was still shocking. A young guy, 49, who thought he had beat cancer and came back and got him, but he fought all the way. And it's just one of those guys. And I knew Stuart Scott before. He went to ESPN. He was a reporter in Orlando. And that's where I first met him, when he was a local TV guy. And so to see him go to ESPN and bring a different voice and talk like us and, and look like us, and it was definitely good. And I think lost in all that. And some guys talked about it, because I think Rich Eisen was really honest when he talked about Stuart Scott. And that was that he wasn't always beloved. I mean, he was hated on big time when he first started. It was different, and people didn't like it at first. I used to hear people complain, and they used to complain to me, being that black guy that they knew. Oh, I don't like that Stuart Scott. Oh, all that slang and this and that and all that. And I think people resisted because it was something different, something that a lot of other people, we knew about it, we felt good about it, and like he was talking to us, so it was great. But I think that people, as time went on, got to realize that different is not bad. People sometimes just reject difference right away instead of giving it a chance. And I think once they realized what a talented guy this was, true professional, hardworking guy, wanted to get the story right and all that other stuff, I think people came around. He made a huge impact, especially for a lot of people you guys know in this business who wanted to do what he did and saw a guy like that up there, and think that's and I'm going to say one other thing. The thing that I think he left behind to me, or his lesson or message to people, was be yourself. Don't change because they want you to change. And I don't think he ever did that, and I admire him for that.
Right, because I think like a lot of people out there might not realize like what you're saying, like the guts that it took for him to, to go and do the stuff that he did and report things the way that he did, when people may not have been ready for that. Like you said, he was speaking to us, we were fine with it, but there was a large contingency of people who weren't ready for that and didn't care for it too much. But now absolutely. It's the norm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was definitely a pushback at that back then. You're talking about 21 years ago he started at ESPN. So it was 20 years is a long time, and things have changed a lot. Obviously, we have a black president. 21 years ago, I don't know if anybody was really sure that was going to ever happen. So a lot has changed. And like I say, that's the message to people. Man, you got to do you. You got to go out there and be yourself. At the end of the day, no matter if you're working there or not or whatever, you still got to be you. And I think that a lot of people give in and conform because they just want to get paid. And I'm not knocking people who want to do that. But at the end of the day, I think it's about other people are allowed to be themselves, and how come we can't be ourselves? And I think that we should be ourselves.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Great point. And one thing, Rob, I just want to say real quick though, in reference to Stuart Scott, yourself, and a lot of others, like just having a conversation this week at his passing. I talked to a lot of people who are in the business and just say that just seeing someone like you on TV makes a huge difference. A lot of times, he had the ability to inspire people that he didn't know he was inspiring. I mean, you as well, you being on TV and doing what you do, and a lot of other people of color, just being there makes a difference.
Yeah.
Oh,
Makes
there's no
people
doubt
think
about
that
it.
it's
You know
possible.
what? Yeah, exactly. That's really what it's all about. To see somebody, and you know what? It's weird that two greats have just passed within about a month or 6 weeks in Brian Burwell. And for me, growing up in New York as a kid and whatnot, I remember Brian Burwell was probably the first or second black guy I ever saw who had their picture in the paper in the sports section. I mean, and I remember it very vividly. And my first day at the Daily News in New York, Brian was already working there. So my career started with Brian Burwell, and I just remember being inspired when I saw him. And I even remember being in college writing a letter to Brian because I saw his picture in the paper. Because I said, that's what I want to do. I want to have my picture in the paper under my column, above my column. Do you know what I mean? And he inspired me, and Stuart inspired a lot of people. And I hear from people all the time too, about that. And it is an important role. And I think you do have to see people like you doing a certain job to believe that you can make it to that level as well.
Absolutely. Right. Absolutely. So that's one other thing, and rest in peace to Brian Burwell as well.
All right. Well, Rob, man, like I said, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes to call us and reflect a little bit on Stuart Scott. Of course, we got to have you back on real soon so we can talk some sports, when it's not such a sad occasion, but we got to have you back on real soon. All right. Well, thanks a lot.
And you guys, you can check out two things. You can check out my column on theshadowleague.com. So go check out. I just wrote a column about the Baseball Hall of Fame voting. I have one of only about 10 African American votes in the entire country. There's only about 10 of us. So check that column out about that. And if you want to have a local show on in Detroit, it's called Rob Parker Shop Talk. So if you want to go see some of the past episodes, you could go to YouTube and just put Shop Talk TV in, and you'll see the episodes. It's basically a sports debate show, and it's set in my barbershop in Detroit. So you can go check that out.
Cool.
Okay,
And
dope.
We'll put the links to both of those on our social media platforms and get some more traffic up over there too.
That'd be perfect. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Rob. We'll be calling you soon, man, so we can talk some sports. All right, man. Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right,
absolutely. Thanks, Rob.
All right. Rob Parker, everybody. Shop Talk. Make sure you check that out on YouTube and shadowleague.com. Check out his latest column over there. Like I said, we will be posting the stuff on our social media platforms. We got another friend of the War Room on the line. NBA veteran Ronnie Brewer. He wanted to come on and share a recollection of Stuart Scott. I believe it was a draft day memory. Ronnie, what's going on, man?
Yeah, what's going on? How are you?
Pretty good,
hey,
man.
Ronnie, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to y'all too.
Yeah, man. So, we're talking about the passing of Stuart Scott, and thanks a lot for taking a couple of minutes to, to call in and give your recollection of the pioneer that was Stuart Scott, that is Stuart Scott. What do you like first before you even tell your story? Like how did it hit you? Like when you heard that, he had finally succumbed to his battle with cancer?
It was tough, because I've had family members who's passed away from the battle with cancer. So to see that he passed away, went on to a better place, it was tough, especially that he left behind family, his daughters, and friends and colleagues that loved him so dearly. So I was saddened when I heard that he had passed away, but I knew he was going to a better place, so I was kind of happy.
No doubt. And you had a story from draft night, that involves Stu?
Yeah. I came across him numerous times throughout my playing career, but one story sticks out in my mind. You hear all those stories about the draft of when you're going to the draft, of your nerves of being so anxious and not knowing where you're going to go, and they called my name and waiting to do all the interviews behind the scenes on the phones and checking in with the GM and your coaches and whatnot, and the crowd at MSG is not very favorable all the time, so I was kind of nervous about that too. But he came and talked to me and was like, I know you majored in broadcast journalism. He was like, man, just anything that you put your mind to, you can achieve it. And he said something that that stuck with me about basketball. He said, don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something. Coming into the NBA, they said that my defense wasn't that great. I couldn't shoot the ball, and going to Utah, I wouldn't be able to play that much because I was behind a lot of veterans. And he said, man, just listen to your coaches, work hard every day, and if you put your mind to it, you can achieve it. Don't let anybody tell you you can. And that was a relief to me, because going to Utah, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and it turned out really well for me. And I always remembered those kind of words that he said to me. And I probably don't have the best relationship with him like other people in the NBA and in his field. But, that's something that I wrote down, and it stuck with me over the years.
Okay, that's what's up, man. Yeah, like a lot of things, that he said, are quotables throughout his battle with cancer that a lot of people can take to heart. Not just, if they're battling an illness, but they can take those things and other aspects of life and really live by those words. So yeah, I mean, he definitely touched the hearts of a lot of people, during this time. Yeah, and obviously from what you're saying before he ever was contracted with cancer. So yeah, Stuart Scott, he's definitely going to be missed. He's definitely a pioneer in this industry, and just the way that he broadcasted the sports news of the day, people just weren't ready for that at the time. And like we've been saying all show, now it's like it's the norm.
I think as a basketball player, it made you look forward to watching the highlights or having him call a game, because the lingo he used was something that people weren't used to, and it made it very exciting, and it made you want to be a fan of his, just not the NBA or whatever he was covering. So, as one, a basketball player, and two, a person who was in the field of being in journalism, that made you realize, man, anybody can do it. If you work really hard and, keep on fighting. And I think that's what he did. He came up with something that he knew that he was comfortable with doing. It was different, and he was very, very confident about doing it, and he made it work, and he did it his way.
Right. And like Rob Parker said before you came on, he's saying, everybody wasn't with the way, everybody didn't like the way that he was doing that, but he stayed true to himself. And now it's accepted. Now everybody's doing it. That's the thing with the network now. They're trying to stay young and hip and fresh and all that kind of stuff. And I think he had a lot to do with that. But Ronnie, man, we really appreciate you taking a few minutes to call in and tell our audience your draft day story about Stuart Scott, and to reflect a little bit on his life and how he's touched you. Of course, we'll be talking to you real soon, and we're going to have you back on real soon. But thanks a lot for calling in this evening, man. We appreciate it.
Absolutely, Ronnie. We appreciate you. We definitely appreciate you. Big things are coming to our listeners. It's Mr. Ronnie Brewer.
All right, man. All right, so that's Ronnie Brewer, everybody. NBA veteran, New York Knicks, Chicago Bulls, Thunder, Utah Jazz. And he might, like B. Austin said, big things are coming. We're not going to let you guys know what that means right at this moment, but you will know pretty soon. All right, so we still got some calls on the line. I'm sorry. Let's go to the homie Tobias because he's been waiting for a very long time. Tobias, what's going on, man? You in the war?
Roll Tide, baby. What's going on, man?
Roll damn Tide. What's up with you?
Hey, I come in win or lose. Hey, I come in win or lose. You know me. But before I get going, remember I said earlier in the year y'all got on me when I said the defense was trash and the quarterback was limited. and I said that was number one. I said, well, I wasn't confident this year. But remember I also said last week, if Alabama run the ball, they win the game. Funny thing happened. They didn't run the ball. And they was gashing Ohio State. And that's just, but at the same time, you got to give Ohio State credit because a lot of people aren't knocking the team. Nobody's seen the quarterback, so how in the world can you give an analysis of a quarterback you only seen? Nobody's seen, except for that one game against a overmatched team. But they're a good team, and a better team won that day. But
no doubt.
And I say about national championship, and I get my quick Tampa taking. I'm a Bucs fan. The thing is, Oregon can run the ball, and if they run the ball and get up the middle and do their running game, they win. Because the thing is now Cardell. The thing is now, yeah, he's been good, but at the same time, if he gets behind, and I'm talking about like against a team like Oregon that's not going to do anything stupid, and they probably got a better defense than Alabama because they can actually cover the forward pass. It may be a little tougher for them, but I think it'll be a good game though.
Okay, so who you got winning the national championship?
Hell, this is my only concern with Ohio State. Are there fans and the team really up for this, or are they beating Alabama in the Super Bowl? Because I got people that ain't hit me up on my birthday, hit me up by Alabama still from Ohio State. And I'm like, and so I think if Oregon could control the line of scrimmage and get their tempo going, they win. It won't be a blowout, but here's the key with Oregon. When the last time Marcus Mariota won a close game?
That's the knock I hear. I hear that he could, he may be a little bit of a front runner because, when Oregon's on and they're blowing teams out, that's when he's shining. But maybe he just hasn't been tested yet. So maybe this will be the test. You're right. I think Alabama may have been the better matchup. And I really did want to see. Ohio State is still going to be a pretty good matchup. So, they're not going to be a team that Oregon just goes out and blows out, hopefully. But I am curious to see what Mariota can do, under the pressure of a tough, close game. So I hope it's a good one, man.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah, say this, like, as a Bucs fan, yes, I wear my paper bag with pride. It's not even close who's the quarterback they should pick. They'll pick quarterback as Jameis Winston. Everybody's talking about off the field. He's never been arrested. He doesn't, because perfect example, Ray Rice had no off-the-field incident before he came in the draft, and he's in the elevator beating his lady. So a lot of times you don't know. You got a lot of guys out here who come in squeaky clean from college, because a lot of times they might sweep it on the rug. But I look at this guy on the field. He has it all. Now, he could claim some stuff for more experience and coaching, but this guy has it all. And right now, the NFL, you got to get a quarterback. You don't have a quarterback, you're not making the playoffs.
So as a Bucs fan, you're saying you would rather them take Winston over Mariota?
Oh yeah, because I've yet to see one of these gimmick spread guys, and I think Cam is actually good. He gets a bad rap, but he's more of a passer anyway. But a lot of these guys come in at gimmick spread, they done nothing. Right. And I want to take my chance with a pocket guy.
Because I agree with you. Because I'm an Eagles fan. We got the 20th pick, and our fans are, talking all of this. Give up the house to get Mariota stuff.
The defense let y'all down this year. I'll say this real quick. I tell my student, take the defense of the Eagles down this year. What the quarterbacks? It was the defense. But you know, I remember Stu, and like the thing that got me most sad about it, because my dad had cancer and he's fine now. He had about 8 years ago, and but the thing is that I looked at like, man, he has young daughters, and he's a young man. Was a young man at 49, and that just shows like tomorrow's not promised. And I always tell people, if you got a stupid beef, man, squash that thing, because you don't want something to happen to somebody, and that the last memory you have is that you had that beef, or wait till that person gets sick to squash a beef. Because to me, that still doesn't mean it. And I just wish, I felt for his girls more than anything, because they're so young. And they haven't, got married yet, graduated college, had their first kid, stuff like that. And but I say this real quick about Stu also. I don't have the numbers to back it up, but it seemed like around the time he came in, Sports Center got more popular. It got more fun to watch. And,
I'm sure it did, especially for our demographic,
the late night show.
People, that word of mouth, like, yo, this dude is on here talking about Wu-Tang and Booyah and this and that. And then you had the other people who are just going, who probably heard about it, like, let me go see what people are talking about, and Sports Center just turned.
Yo, you're exactly right, and there's a couple of things that contribute to that. The rise in cable at the time. The NBA contract and Michael Jordan being on TV, all that kind of it was like a perfect storm, and he was a part of that perfect storm.
And I'll say this is my last thing, because you got other people. I'm sorry, but the thing with him also, people don't let it get lost. I love the fact they show what type of father he was, and at the same time, because brothers, they don't like showing us a good dad, but also, he used the slang, but this man was on point work-wise. He knew his stuff. This man was highly educated. He knew his info. He knew everything. He was prepared. And I don't want that to get lost either. And that's all I have. But thanks for taking my call, guys.
No doubt. All right. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate the support. We'll talk to you next week.
Oh, man. Always the bias.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, he was diversified and educated, man. Yeah, that's a little, sub. He's diversified and educated.
Yeah. We have a little. I'm sorry.
Next call. I just want to say the one thing I appreciated about him was, he talked in our vernacular, but he wasn't just straight up, I hate this word, but he wasn't ratchet or ignorant with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he was able to talk. He was talking to us. I mean, this is the kind of conversations that we have. Where we can use slang, but it's still not, straight up Real Housewives.
You know what it was?
Slang and certain metaphors we use when we're describing a game or a play, like.
He was showing that hip hop and urban culture and black culture wasn't necessarily without intellect, without intelligence, and there was a certain measure of I don't know really the words to capture it, but his ability to jump back and forth between the King's good English and colloquialisms was amazing, and he spoke for a portion of that hip hop generation that's us, like you say, diversified and educated, diversified in his ability to communicate, educated on all his topics and subjects, and he could communicate to multiple audiences and pull them in. So, no, man, he was a dynamo, man. Dynamo, definitely.
All right, well, let's get, because we got a little Stu Scott medley we want to play before we move on to our next topic. But let's get to this other call. We got Rob out in Cali. Rob, what's going on, bro? You there?
Chill, Rob G.
I think we might have lost him.
Hello?
Oh, you there?
Rob,
okay.
There you are.
Yeah. What's going on, Rob? What's your
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, man.
Happy
What's
New
your
Year.
memory of Stuart Scott?
Oh man, Stuart Scott, man, that's my childhood right there. Just watching ESPN, watching Sports Center. When I can remember as a kid, him just praising Shaq when he used to just eat up the league, just swallow up the center. Man, it was.
Pause.
It's hard because the problem with analysts now, there's too many ex-players that are analysts. He gave a perspective from the fans, not from retired players. They're good too, but what's our perspective? What's our voice in this?
Right.
And when he passed away, I thought about, and every time people with influence, I thought about everybody. I thought about just blog radio. I thought about War Room Sports. I thought about people who just speak their mind, like excuse me, as soon as I butcher his name, I think his name is Malcolm Smith, that does His and Hers, and Jamil
Michael
Hill.
Smith.
Michael Smith and Jamil Hill, which Jamil Hill to me is going to be like is already like it's going to let a catalyst for more women to come through to actually know what they're talking about when it comes to sports.
Yeah, those are people. They come on here and we have some deep conversations. They definitely speak their mind. Especially when they come on here, they kind of let loose. Real quick, because we gotta move on, but give us your pick for the national championship game. I know you're riding with Oregon, but what do you think the score is going to be?
Oregon by 3 touchdowns.
Damn!
3 touchdowns. Shock the world.
Blowout City.
Hey, we're gonna shock the world. You can tell them boys down south. The next time, slim up. Maybe to get the next chance this time, man. My papa told me years ago, if they had playoffs, Alabama was not going to be in the championships. And what happened? No means to take shots to Alabama. Shout to the bias. Shout to my girl Jonah. You know what I'm saying?
Always listen to your pop. That's why you listen to us. Always listen to your pop.
All right, man. Well, thanks again for your call, and we'll wrap to you next week, man. We'll see what happens in this game, and we'll talk to you about it next week. All right.
All right, Happy New Year's, man. God bless.
All right, Happy New Year, Rob.
Happy New Year, Rob.
All right, so we've had callers call in with their memories of Stu Scott, people he's worked with, people he's influenced in the world of professional sports. So we're gonna move on with this. Just give us another 2.5 minutes of your time on Stuart Scott, and then we'll get into some other things in the world of sports.
That very same year in 1993, a talented young journalist named Stuart Scott joined ESPN. Stuart would soon become one of the most recognizable and beloved SportsCenter anchors ever, and forever change the tone and language of sports broadcasting. But he didn't just add phrases like booyah and cooler than the other side of the pillow to the lexicon. He brought his wit, his attitude, and a lust for life all his own. In November 2007, sadly, Stuart was diagnosed with cancer. True to his form, Stuart shared his experiences fighting this disease with us while managing to do extraordinary things in the face of seemingly unsurmountable odds. Stuart's journey has been full of great challenges, but even greater has been the love from his family. And like the great man his award is named for, Stuart has never, ever given up.
Fighting is winning. Not quitting, not saying, oh, I have cancer, or I can't do anything, I'm just going to lay down and cry a pity party for myself. That, to me, is the only way you lose. When you die, that does not mean that you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live. I have one more necessity. Yeah, it's really two. Two very vibrant, intelligent, beautiful young ladies. The best thing I've ever done, the best thing I will ever do, is be a dad to Taylor and Sydney. I can't ever give up because I can't leave my daughters. Yes, sometimes I embarrass them. Sometimes they think I'm a tyrant. That's a direct quote. There is an adjective that described tyrant too, but I'm not going to go there. But Taylor and Sydney, I love you guys more than I will ever be able to express. You two are my heartbeat. I am standing on this stage here tonight because of you. I want to say thank you, ESPN. Thank you, ESPYs. Thank all of you. Have a great rest of your night and have a great rest of your life.
All right, that's Stuart Scott, July 19th, 1965, January 4th, 2015. Rest in peace, good brother.
Rest in power, man. Wow.
Chapman, this is Michael Smith, the His from His and Hers on ESPN2, and you are in the War Room on War Room Sports Podcast Network.
All right, more in the world of hot topics. Kind of tough to get to after that, you know what I mean? Especially like the caller Tobias said, man, thinking about the fact that he has young daughters, man. It's a tough situation, but we must continue on. So shout out to the 2015 Baseball Hall of Fame selections, Randy Johnson, the aka the Big Unit. I don't know how they call the grown man the Big Unit. Pedro Martinez, Pedro Martinez, John Smoltz, and Craig Biggio. So we got 3 pitchers going in this year. And Jimmy, you know, you're a big baseball fan. Do you think these are 4 guys that are deserving of this spectacular honor?
Yeah, absolutely. I still say free Barry Bonds, but you know, these guys were all great players. So there's no doubt. I'm not calling that man that nickname, but he was definitely one of the most pitchers I've ever seen. Pedro should go in for his comedy alone he brought to the game. John Smoltz and that
Pedro got a Hall of Fame hairstyle, yo. The Jerry curl.
He kept the Jerry curl for 40 years.
Yo, my man said, dig up the Bambino so I could throw the ball in his ass. Like, yo, he was funny. Like, he was a character. He had nothing left when he came to Philly. He was a character, man.
And the boy Pedro said, the Yankees are my daddies. Come on, Pedro. The Yankees are my daddies.
And John Smoltz was a part of that amazing rotation that they had in Atlanta. You know, well, are those guys in the Hall already? Is Maddox is already in? I know Maddox.
I still can't believe that those guys only won World Series with, you know, the rotation that they had, man.
I did Detroit Pistons of baseball. Yo,
we've been here before.
One thing, though. Yeah, we've been here before, but I'll tell you one thing. Greg Maddux, I was thinking about this. I know it's not Greg Maddux, but it's John Smoltz, but they all remind me of each other. John Smoltz was amazing, but in that rotation, Greg Maddux might have been the best pitcher I've ever seen. It's between him and Clemens. See, the thing is, Clemens on his game is better than anybody, but Greg Maddux on his game is it's tough. Between those two, Dev, I don't know what you say, but between those two, they may have been the 2 best pitchers I've ever seen.
Well, Clemens was on that stuff, so he had the edge.
And that's what I'm saying.
But the thing, like you said, free Barry Bonds, man. Actually, if you go back to this era, man, you really don't know who was and wasn't on anything. So I think, you know, the whole morality thing that the MLB is doing, I think they would just have to curb that at some point and let Barry Bonds and some other deserving names in there, because you really don't know in that era who. I'm not even gonna say who was. I'm gonna say you don't know who wasn't on the juice back then. So, you know, but we always talked about it. So it's kind of beating a dead horse. Everybody knows how we feel about it. Baseball exploited it while it was going on, but now they want to be the morality police. So, you know.
Yo, man, while we talking baseball and the Hall of Fame, you know, there's not much that I can contribute to this other than shout out to those gentlemen for their accomplishments and Randy for having a Hall of Fame nickname that I would make every lady call me. But, you know, yo, man, shout out to my man Kenny Powers. Yo, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yo, I'm mad that show's gonna come on no more, man. I was digging that joint. That joint was funny.
Yo,
shout out to Eastbound and Down. All right, man. So y'all can check out our website, warroomsports.com, to call in and speak with us about any of today's topics. Dial the Digital Extreme Technologies hotline at 323-410-0012. Press 1 when prompted. If you're already listening from your phone, just press 1 if you want to talk. Gentlemen, let's talk some football.
Absolutely. It's time to talk the NFL, and the NFL Wrap is brought to you by Stitcher Smart Radio. You can hear our show, The War Room, on Stitcher Smart Radio. Stitcher allows you to listen to your favorite shows directly from your computer, your iPhone, your Android phone, and possibly your BlackBerry or Palm phone if you have one. But if you do have one, you're probably not smart enough to listen to The War Room anyway, so kill yourself. But with that being said, the latest episode is always available for you. No syncing needed, no memory or storage wasted. Stitcher.com/The War Room, or go to warroomsports.com. And, you can click on the Stitcher logo, and you can, get it right there. Remember, there's a coupon code, which is The War Room, one word. And what that does is it enters you into a contest to win millions and millions of money. Gentlemen, let's talk some football.
Speaking of that coupon code, I had somebody trying to put that code in Audible. I was getting our sponsors mixed up. I was like, put it in there. They're like, nothing's happening. Put it in there anyway.
No doubt. By the way, for those listening, audibletrial.com/warroomsports, no coupon code, but stitcher.com/The War Room, coupon code The War Room, just for clarification. Anyway, back to football, man. You guys are Philadelphia Eagles fans. Your head coach, Chipper Kelly, was engaged in a round of Game of Thrones with everybody in the organization over in Philly. We're having a power struggle to see what happens.
Yo, Chuck, what a power move on.
Chip Kelly wins. He gets more power in terms of picking his ingredients, as Bill Parcells like to make the analogy. Not just cooking the food, but picking the ingredients. So what did you guys think about this whole power struggle with your Philadelphia Eagles, and how do you think Chip Kelly will do with more responsibility?
Well, the whole thing started when Chip Kelly's main personnel guy, main football guy, Tom Gamble, was fired last week. Not only was he fired, rumors say that he was actually escorted out of the building. So I don't really know what that's about. Tom Gamble's not really talking. Chip Kelly took that pretty hard. There was rumors that he expressed interest in getting out of his contract, whether he was serious or not, or that was just his leverage to basically ask for and get more power. We'll never know for sure, but it looks like that pretty much was the case. So to stop his new superstar coach from, and I say that tongue in cheek, from bolting out the door, Jeffrey Lurie gave everybody a promotion. I think Howie Roseman got a promotion probably in title only and salary only, but really he's basically been demoted because he no longer oversees player personnel. Chip Kelly, rumors were that Chip Kelly never really respected Howie Roseman as a football guy, and that kind of ate at Howie Roseman's craw. Is that the saying? I don't really talk like that, but he didn't really like that. He had to get his respect as a football guy, and a lot of people think that's why he ended up firing Tom Gamble, so he'd be, the sole guy and would get any credit for anything good that the Eagles would do personnel-wise. Well, he no longer has that. He has a bigger title. He's president of football operations, including overseeing the medical staff and stuff like that. And the positive about Howie Roseman has always been that he's a great cap guy. And the Eagles' financial situation is always one of the better ones in the league. So, I can agree that he's been a great numbers guy, a great cap guy. But people think he may have lacked a little bit as far as football knowledge. So now Chip Kelly gets to buy the groceries, like Jimmy said. B. Austin, we talked about this all week. I'm not really sure. He's a second-year head coach. I'm not sure how much his hand was in the pot, before. Their first-round pick from last year is basically a project. Fans aren't really patient enough for a project, so we can't really say that draft was successful. He cut Deshaun Jackson, which a lot of people in Philadelphia dislike. So that's not a popular decision. I applaud and
support that move.
But a second-year coach getting full autonomy over the roster, I think this is quite the risky move. I think it's a very risky move. Let's say
I think it comes with a lot of risk. I'm going to draw a couple comparisons here. I'll start off with Bill Belichick. He has player personnel control Then I'll go to Mike Holmgren. Throughout his coaching career, he had GM. And then I'll go to the ultimate, the guy who is literally the ultimate in defining this is none other than the tuna, the gentleman you quoted, Bill Parcells. Notice that the three names that I mentioned are guys. These aren't the only guys that have had player personnel control along with coaching, but these are the gold standard. Andy is a little below the gold standard. I would give him the silver standard because we can take a shot at Andy all we want as Eagles fans. He's a hell of a coach and a hell of a guy to have in an organization. We just see and know his faults. He's not bad.
Run the Eagles have ever had. For everybody who wants to take shots at Andy.
Let's not. We're not knocking Fat Andy. Fat Andy deserves to be in the NFL. Great guy. So, but even if you want to lump him into that group, the difference between them and Chip Kelly is they had decades in the NFL to develop their acumen. A portion of that time as positional coaches, some of that time as coordinators, and then on to being head coaches, and then on to having general management responsibilities that married up to the director or president of player personnel. Chip Kelly, I have been pleasantly surprised with the success that he's experienced in his 2-year run. We've got 22 victories and
20 and 12.
20 and 12. That's a great record. I salute Chip. I was a detractor. I didn't like the hire. I didn't want the hire. He's proven a little bit that his stuff works in the league. This is a major responsibility, guys, and I can't tell you how scared I am as a knowledgeable
long-term
football fan.
That's the question.
Long-term, dude, the responsibilities that he's now taking on and having to understand every facet of the game, because now you can't just say Howie Roseman is my salary cap guy, so he'll just put the numbers on him. If you're going to be responsible for now going into the grocery store and picking out the food, you have to know the salary cap stuff as well. You have to understand how it marries up to the salary cap and the budget. I'm scared. I was pleased with what Chip did as a coach, and I think maybe we were going in the right direction. Not sure. There's a lot of I have a lot of critique of Chip. I can say the good and the bad. There's more good than bad, but there's still some bad there. I think this could push him backwards in terms of his coaching, having to concentrate on far more than just coaching and strategy and leading the team. Now to have to go out and get the players and scout and understand the financials. Dude, this is a major responsibility for a guy who has only been in the NFL for 2 years.
Plus, B. Austin, fans take everything literal. So if you say Chip Kelly has all the power, the fans are going to, they're going to eat that up. So anything that happens with any player that comes in, people are going to put that on Chip. Like, well, Chip has the final say, like nobody else has any role in scouting and bringing in players.
Let me also say this. I don't think that Jeffrey Lurie nor Howie Roseman would allow this to happen. But if in some way the Eagles were to ever mortgage the rest of the organization's existence to trade up and get Marcus Mariota, then I'll hand my fan card in because I can't root for that organization. If we were stupid enough, because there's a lot of fans calling for that. There's a lot of fans calling for that. There's a lot of folks knee-jerking. We should trade. That's Chip's guy. He recruited him to Oregon. He can run the system. He can this, that, and the third. Dude, if Chip makes this play to get this power to trade away the rest of the Eagles' existence to get Marcus Mariota, I cannot root for that. I cannot stand behind that. I can't do it. I don't believe Chip would do that, but it's a possibility now that you have to address because he's the guy that's buying the groceries and cooking the food. So you got to address it. That's what
fans that were clamoring for Geno Smith a couple years ago. So I'm glad organizations rarely listen to fans because I think that would be a mistake as well. Because
let
like one of the callers earlier said, I haven't seen one of these spread gimmicky college quarterbacks come in and be that successful yet in the league.
Well, let me ask you guys a question because you are fans. Now, let's say that Chip really wasn't bluffing and was willing to finagle his way out of his contract. Are you guys satisfied with him as your coach? Like, where do you stand as of right now with him just as your coach? Would you be willing to lose him as a coach and not give him this power, or would you have given in?
I put it this way. Had Chip Kelly left earlier in the week or last week, I wouldn't have been devastated. I'm curious to see what will be with him as coach. I'm not even talking about the whole player personnel thing. I'm curious to see if there's going to be some improvement, because if you think from last year to this year, there really wasn't any improvement. And I'm not even just talking about the win and loss record. Like, there wasn't any improvement. They had the same record, but didn't make the playoff because another team in the division did improve. So, you could say that they regressed, took a step backwards, or you can be literal with the record and say that they stayed the same. So I'm still curious to see how he adjusts now. He went into this season the overwhelming favorite to win this division, didn't do it. So I want to see how he adjusts with a little bit of adversity and some competition in the division that he didn't really have last season, even though last season came down to the very last game as well. But I'm very curious to see that. This, I don't know what he'll do as the grocery buyer, so I can't say I wouldn't have given him the power, because I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do with it. But I say it's really risky though. It's risky. I probably
I'm gonna echo.
I'm gonna echo that part of the vernacular, the whole analogy of groceries, because everyone uses.
I'm gonna echo Dev. I mean, I've softened my position a little bit, and I'm ready to acknowledge that I was wrong about Chip Kelly if we see the progression and the success over time, because I didn't want him hired in the first place. I was very upset with the hire. I didn't want to see dink and dunk. I believe that he benefits from the fact that the league is watered down and they're putting out an inferior product. College and gimmicky stuff can work. I also think he's changed a little bit. He does realize he's in the NFL, and some of that stuff he has dialed back a little bit. But like you said, Dev, he has to.
But fans will say that he's dialed back because he doesn't have his quarterback to run the offense.
Whatever. They're stupid. I can distinctly see the areas that we need to improve in, and I'm anxious to see in year 3 whether those improvements are made. I'm anxious to see if we stop living an alternative lifestyle when it comes to running the ball, and we stop running, on third and short and second and short out of the shotgun. I'm anxious to see us, come with a little bit more anticipatory throws with Foles. Now, part of that isn't really on Chip. That's the personnel and whether he's healthy. The player personnel thing, two things that scared me. There's reports that Chip wanted Jordan Matthews in the middle of the first round with the first pick that the Eagles had. There's rumors. I'm certainly glad that didn't happen, because we got him in the third. So we would have been overreaching.
And he still took Marcus Smith in the first round, who didn't have a first round grade from anybody. So he might be a reacher.
He took Marcus Smith in the first. He took Marcus Smith, and then lastly, Josh Huff.
Like to get reacher rounds.
Josh Huff. Josh Huff could turn out to be an okay NFL player. He could turn out to be pretty explosive.
Special team.
But I just felt like there was some Oregon nepotism with him being on the roster. So there's a lot of things that made me nervous.
You're going to feel that anybody they draft from Oregon, you're going to feel that way just because that's where he's from. So
you're right.
Get ready for that. Anybody from Oregon, you're going to have that feeling. But it happens, so we'll just see where it goes, man.
If he had quit, I wouldn't have been heartbroken. I want to see what can happen, but I wouldn't have been heartbroken.
Oregon nepotism. Anyway, let's jump into the playoffs real quick, though. I know Dev said he went 4-0. I don't even know what I went. I think I went 3-1, maybe. I think I picked I picked Steelers over the Ravens. Other than that, I got all the games right. But were you guys on Dev? Obviously not. But also,
playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
Anything surprising?
Well,
from
I'd
this
like to
weekend?
say right now. I'd like to say right now I took a flyer on the Red Rocket up in Cincinnati, and I was very wrong. But I wanted to give Andy and the Bengals a chance, Marvin Lewis a chance to do something more than the first round, and I was wrong. I was very wrong.
I actually had no surprises. I'm not just saying that because I had a 4-0 week, but I can say. Actually, I can say I'm not going to say like B. Austin that I just took a flyer, but at the same time, I am surprised that Andy Dalton didn't play a little bit better. I thought, fourth time, he was going to get in there and play a little bit better. I mean, to be fair, he went into the game without his binky and AJ Green, so he was already behind the 8-ball when the game started. So I don't know. He has a reputation now, and he did nothing in this wild card round to, quell what people think about him. So it's going to be what it is until he does something about it. And being on, 4 down with no victories in the playoffs and no games where you can truly sit back and say, well, that wasn't Andy's fault. He played pretty good. He doesn't really have any of those games either. So it's going to take him a while to shake this reputation if he's ever able to do it, because he's already 4 behind. So brutal for Andy. But other than that, no real surprises for me, man. I thought Baltimore could go in and handle Pittsburgh, and they ended up doing that.
Not even a surprise in terms of the way anyone specifically played, or? I mean, you already talked about Andy Dalton.
I guess I thought the games would be closer. Of course, the Cowboys-Lions game was the best game of the weekend. I thought, we might have some other games that were closer. Maybe Baltimore handled Pittsburgh a little too easily.
I picked that. Go ahead.
Even the game I got wrong, I could see the Ravens winning. My biggest surprise was that ref picking up the flag in the Dallas game. And we're going to talk about that. But that was my biggest surprise because I was just surprised. I'm still in shock that actually happened. Like, I'm gonna tell you,
it was surreal.
So I want to ask y'all. I picked that game with emotion, and I admit it. I allow the fact that I'm an Eagles fan. I have a very difficult time picking the Cowboys to win anything. I can't get objective there.
Yeah, you picked the Cowboys to beat the Eagles twice this year. I got a hard time picking the Cowboys.
But in the playoffs, it's different, man. In the playoffs,
well, how do we ever know that? They never make the playoffs.
Step closer.
No, real talk. This is the first time
they
made the playoffs since we've had a radio show. So we don't know that. This is the first time they've made the playoffs since we had a radio show. We started in 2010, September. They didn't make the playoffs since 2009 and beat the Eagles.
Yeah. I have a hard time, and I picked the Lions because I figured that I thought the Cowboys would win, but was I wrong in that pick since the refs cheated for them?
Well, no, I'm saying the Lions had their opportunity, right?
No, I think the Lions are one of the toughest matchups Dallas could have had. Go ahead, Jim.
Let's jump right into the whole controversy, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I'm still in shock that it actually happened. Because the way it happened and the fact that it's Dallas, I was like, oh, God, here we go. The conspiracy theorists and the whole thing with the NFL looking out for Dallas, that's something that's always there anyway. When they straight give, it's not the fact that they missed the call. They made the call and straight picked the flag up 24 hours later after, Des Bryant and other Cowboys were, BITCHing to the officials. They picked the flag up. I'm still in shock that happened. There were several other missed calls. They've already come out and apologized about multiple calls. But that was egregious.
Right. And when they picked it up 3 minutes late, there was no explanation. And a few calls came after that in the game, and they wanted to explain themselves. I'm like, but you don't explain the biggest call or no call of the entire game. And to, clear everything up for everybody, because there's been a back and forth of what was pass interference, what wasn't pass interference. It was pass interference. Dallas Cowboy fans want to tell you about the tight end having his hand on the face mask of the defender, legitimate. He did, but that wasn't what was called. They called the right call and then ended up taking the right call back with no explanation. After the call, the penalty had already been announced. Like, that's something that you just don't see in football. Whether or not you thought it was pass interference, even if it wasn't pass interference, the most surprising thing to me, as Jimmy keeps alluding to, is the fact that after they made the announcement, they picked it up. So I'm like, whether or not you think the call was right or wrong, it's just the way they went about the whole thing that was really shocking. And that's the kind of thing that brings out these conspiracy theorists who think that, the referees are out to help the Cowboys and blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure that I necessarily agree with that, but it's something that you have to look at. If somebody says that to you, you can't think that they're crazy after you just witnessed something like that. So I'll put it that way. It was weird, and I'd never seen anything like it before. Like I said on Field Vision, fellas, if I'm a Cowboys fan though, because they're crusading all over the internet, defending it and trying to make justifications and showing plays from like 3 quarters before that. Well, I guess they got to call this back too. All kinds of stupid justifications. Look, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm like flipping the bird to everybody. Like, look, it happened. It's over. We're moving on. Come watch us next week. Like, unless you have a guilty conscience about the whole thing, almost a week later, why are you still arguing with people about something that happened in your favor? It's over.
That was going to be my point. They have a guilty conscience. That play was egregious because it wasn't a questionable call. As Jimmy alluded to, it was a call that was made, and then when you watch the play in its entirety, there were 3 separate fouls. So it's like, that's guilt. They know what's up. They know what's time. Something. That's why they focus on the pass interference as opposed to the defensive holding before the pass interference, because the linebacker in coverage committed three fouls. Like, come on, they're guilty. They're guilty.
And the thing is, the Lions did have a chance to, complete the game after that, but people don't realize that momentum is a real thing. It's a serious thing. And, after that whole thing, I think the Lions, the win was just out of their sails. The punter kicked a 10-yard punt. They got 3 more penalties as Dallas drove down the field. And I think all 3 of those penalties were legit. But, the one that started the avalanche, no pun intended to the earlier story, I don't know. It did them in. It basically did them in. But shout out to the Cowboys because they took that momentum and they did something with it. So they're moving on to the next round. We got a call on the line. Oh, Jim, you got that. I forgot you.
I'm just laughing real quick because you put up the punter, man. It was some terrible punting this weekend, yo. And the Cardinals Panthers, that punting was completely hilarious.
The Cardinal punter was point shaving the whole game.
I'm better than
he
him.
didn't give him a chance. Because that team had a chance even without their quarterback, and the punter just wouldn't give him one. he just erased their chance.
Yeah, no doubt.
Look it up, punter.
You said we got a call on the line?
Yeah, we got something on the digital.
All right, let's get to this call. Let's see. We have JB from Maryland. JB, welcome to the War Room. What's going on?
Hey, it's been a long time, fellas, but certainly not the first time. How you doing?
All right, man. How are you?
Good.
Oh, I'm doing well. I saw the Cowboys-Lions game. I have a comment. I certainly wanted to share it with you, okay? Ultimately, I look at it and I say, where's the play? Where's the play that was the play? Okay? There's great plays in NFL history. There's the immaculate reception. There's the catch. There's the holy roller. That was creative. Okay? There's the helmet catch. There's the Music City Miracle. Okay? Tell me what play was made so they could come back. What was it?
JB, because it's called the pickup.
There you go. That's what I have down right here, man. There's 2 rules that I hate in the NFL. There's the tuck rule, and now there's the pick up the flag rule. okay? This guy, whoever was defending him, could have literally turned around and made a play. He could have turned around and made the reception, the interception at that.
Right.
He could have made a play. To sit there and watch a team go down the field despite themselves, get 4 or 5 chances at the end zone and finally complete one on the 5th attempt, I'm sorry, that's not entertainment.
Because on that drive, they kept getting on late downs. They kept getting those automatic first downs. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So to look at the dichotomy in one game, I look at it and I say, watch yourself, NFL. You might lose your base, because I actually was not entertained by it.
I feel you.
What do you think about that?
No, that's definitely an issue, because like you said, you named all of those great plays and playoff histories. Like, this game went down to the wire, but it wasn't anything great that happened on the field that made it happen. So,
and I gotta say, when I watch a Super Bowl or a playoff game, really before it happens, I'm just hoping it doesn't end up in the ref's hands. That's what I'm expecting now.
Right.
And that's not football. That's the refs. It's litigious. It's part of maybe even lawyers owning the NFL. There's commissioners everywhere. I mean, everything gets so litigious. Can we just play the game and let it play out? Because it's immaculate when it actually happens. But if you don't let it happen, then what's the point of watching?
That's the kind of play by the referees that, bring back photos of head refs jumping off of party buses back in August. They don't want you to be conspiracy theorists, but then things like this happen and you have no other choice but to think about that kind of stuff. So,
hey, thanks for listening to it. I appreciate it.
No doubt, JB. Thanks for calling, man.
All right. Hey, God bless, fellas.
You too. Happy New Year. Yeah,
no
so
doubt, JB.
Yeah, so Jim, I guess we gotta get into some of these awards before we get out of here.
Absolutely, man. We gotta talk about these NFL season awards. These are the awards we're going to give out. I'll just name the awards, and each of you gentlemen can just go and run down your list. We're going to do Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, and the Most Valuable Player. Who wants to start?
B. Austin, you want to go? Or?
But y'all BSing, man. Look, Coach of the Year, I got Bruce Arians. Comeback Player of the Year, I got Julio Jones. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I got my man out in Baltimore, Mosley. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I got alternative lifestyle boy in New York, Odell Beckham. Defensive Player of the Year, too easy. I got J.J. Watt. Offensive Player of the Year, this is my curveball, as I said on Field Vision. I'm going with Antonio Brown, a.k.a. Young Jerry. And for the Most Valuable Player, I'm going J.J. Watt.
J.J. Swat, man, MVP. All right, Coach of the Year. I'm going to agree with you, Bruce Arians. He just coaches his way through, a lot of misfortune. And, that team had a whole lot of misfortune. There was a point after Carson Palmer got hurt again, but for the season this time, that I said they wouldn't win another game. And they just kept proving me wrong. So shout out to Arians. Comeback Player of the Year. I'm going to stay with my midseason pick of Gronk. But honorable mention to Julio Jones. Honorable mention to even Jeremy Maclin of the Eagles. Maclin, his production kind of fell off a little bit once Mark Sanchez got it under center. Well, the Eagles don't really go under center once he got in the gun. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going to go with C.J. Mosley as well out in Baltimore. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Beckham Jr. I don't understand how anybody could pick anybody else. The dude played 12 strong games had like 91 catches and about 12 touchdowns in just 12 games. Where am I? Defensive Player of the Year, J.J. Watt. That's easy. He's probably the best player in the NFL. Offensive Player of the Year, I'm going to go with DeMarco Murray. I think the balance that he was able to give the Cowboys offense and taking a lot of that load off of Tony Romo is a big reason for their success, because I still don't believe in their defense. I think it was a Murray-Romo-led effort. So I'm going to give that to DeMarco Murray. And MVP, even though I think JJ is the best pure football player in the league, I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers. Shout out to Andrew Luck as well, but I'm going to go with Rodgers. Those are two teams, the Colts and the Packers. They're teams that just might not be anywhere near as good without those two guys. I couldn't really give it to JJ because even though his impact runs deep on that team, his impact wasn't enough to get them into the postseason. Like, we compare what he's doing, like Jimmy said on Field Vision, to how Lawrence Taylor played when he won the MVP, but his impact helped lead directly to enough wins to get them in the postseason. I'm talking about Lawrence Taylor. JJ Swat didn't end up doing that, but much respect to him. He balled this year.
Yeah, Arians, shout out to you for being B. Austin's Coach of the Year. Comeback Player of the Year, shout out to Robert Griffin III. No particular reason. I just wanted to shout you out. Comeback Player of the Year, I go with Tony Homo because at the end of last season, I saw him break his back, and it was spinal. And whenever I see something like that, I salute to him. So I'm going Tony Homo. No disrespect to Julio. Julio is amazing.
Mike, were you really sick this week? What was the problem?
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? Your
back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
Yeah, that's what Tony Homo let y'all know. He broke his back, and he still was able to play. And I think he re-injured his broken back this year and still continued to ball. So that's enough of that. Defensive Rookie of the Year, Aaron Donald. Shout out to C.J. Mosley because you were my midseason pick. You balled out, but Aaron Donald is that dude. Offensive Rookie of the Year, Teddy Bridgewater. Defensive player. My bad. No, really, no joke. Yo, watch Field Vision, no joke. Old Dirty Bastard is the Offensive Rookie of the Year, ODB Jr. Defensive Player of the Year is none other than J.J. Swat. Offensive Player of the Year is Aaron Rodgers, man. Is Aaron Rodgers, clearly and far away. MVP, my MVP, B. Austin, the Hot Block Commanders MVP is J.J. Watt. He's not going to win it, but he's the MVP in my eyes.
Okay, that's what's up. This has nothing to do with this, but I'm watching on my monitor. It's a college basketball game, and I've seen like 4 missed layups, yo. What's wrong with fundamentals in this country, man?
Yeah, they don't play basketball no more.
Free Kobe. Free Kobe. He was right. AAU destroying the game.
Yo, man, we only got a couple minutes left, man. We got to talk about the big trade in the NBA before we get out of here.
Yes.
Big. What's big about the big deal?
When you put it that way, it's not a big trade, but let's just say biggest trade thus far this year.
All right, well, let's just give our picks for the divisional rounds. No preview because they can watch Field Vision for that. Just give our picks. I'll start that. I'll just give all of mine. I got the Patriots narrowly over the Ravens. Wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens won that. Seattle over Carolina. Man, I think Cowboys match up even better against Green Bay. But I'm going to pick the Packers over the Cowboys, and I'm going to go Broncos over my Colts.
I'll be very brief. I'm taking the Patriots at home. I'm taking the Seahawks at home. Cowboys on the road and Broncos at home. Be awesome.
Patriots, Seahawks, Packers, and Broncos will be your winners.
There you go. All chalk, all home. All right,
Correction. Ravens. I correct that.
Ravens over Pats. All right, real quick, basketball segment, as usual, brought to you by Fanatics. Go to our website, check out Fanatics. NBA players of the week, real quick. We got Jeff Teague and Kevin Durant. Teague and the Hawks went 3-0. He scored 23.7 points per game, 8.3 assists, 2.7 steals per game. And he shot 50% or better from the field in all 3 games and handed out at least 6 assists in each game. Durant and the Thunder only played 2 games last week. They went 2-0. The dude led the league in scoring at 39 points per, 9 rebounds, 4.5 assists, and he ranked 8th in the Western Conference in 3-point field goal percentage, hitting 10 of 18 for 56%. So shout out to Jeff Teague and Kevin Durant. Like Jimmy just mentioned a few minutes ago, the Cavs, Thunder, and Knicks completed a 3-way trade. Here are your details of the trade. As a part of the deal, Dion Waiters goes to the Thunder. J.R. Smith and Iman Shumpert go to the Cavs. And 3 players with non-guaranteed contracts, Alex Kirk, Lou Amundsen from the Cavs, and Lance Thomas from the Thunder, they all go to the Knicks. So the Knicks basically just dumped everything so Phil can look to the future with some expiring contracts and some dudes that, that's not going to be on long-term plans. What do you guys think of this trade? What do you think Waiters will bring to the Thunder? What do you think Shumpert and J.R. Smith especially will bring to the Cleveland Cavaliers, other than a few headaches from J.R. Smith, of course? We don't have to ask about the Knicks because we see what they're doing in this whole thing.
Yeah, I think that my man Dion Waiters brings a fully loaded ladder clip with bullets to spare to the Thunder.
But is it need, though?
They're going to try and
is he their Harden?
What'd you say? Is that what they need?
Is it what they need, though?
No, because Harden, as much of a scorer as he is, Harden is actually a wonderful playmaker. He's a great passer. Right. I've never seen Dion with that. Dion is a tremendous talent as a scorer, but he's going to have to expand. A pick being set for you is not just for you to shoot or go to the cup off of that screen. You can do other things.
You don't know.
Hashtag PSP Philly, support Philly, because I want to see him do well. The Cavs are going to have a few WTF games from JR where he goes 0 for 5, and then they're going to have at least one 40-point outburst from him. And if he can get his mind right, he could be the coup of the trade. The intention here is to get Iman Shumpert on the wing to take pressure off of LeBron and pressure off of Kyrie, and insert him into the starting lineup and have him locked down. But I don't know health-wise whether he's going to be able to do that. J.R. Smith is the wild card because when he decides to, believe it or not, he can play D. And when he decides to, he can give you 40 on any given night. He can also go 0 for 16 and have no problem with it and go straight to the club, get drunk, and pop a couple models.
And take selfies and post them on Instagram.
And get dissed by Rihanna.
Yeah. And the Cavs also made a deal. They gave up 2 first-round picks for Timothy Mozgov. So they're trying to that's obviously a desperation move for a rim protector since Andy Varejão's done for the season. To give up 2 first. I mean, it's not the same as if you give up 2 first-round NFL picks. Cleveland's going to be picking late anyway because they're going to be one of the better teams in the record-wise in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, I don't think that's a terrible deal because they're obviously trying to win now. We told you not to believe the hype when LeBron was setting the expectations low prior to coming back home. They want to win now, and they've made every move to show everybody that they want to win now. They've been big players in the trade market in the past 2 days.
I don't think LeBron was injured. I think LeBron wanted some time off in the middle of the season because it's a little bit more difficult.
LeBron sat out because nothing was getting done in the front office. LeBron made these trades.
Yeah,
LeBron
is definitely the GM. He's the GM
Chip
and
Kelly
head coach. He was instrumental in these trades. He told them what he wanted and how to do it, and then they went ahead and did it. Yeah, definitely. He took a little time off.
We got to roll, man. We got to roll. The only thing I have to say about this whole trade is Yo, when in doubt, yo, you just shoot the rock. Word to J.R. Smith, man. Yo, thanks for joining us again in the War Room, good people. Shout out to everybody in the chat room, those on Facebook, Twitter, the calls who called to chime in and holler at us. We definitely appreciate it. Special thanks to Fred Perdue of collegefootballextra.com for joining us to discuss, his college football national championship pick. Also, Rob Parker, as well as everyone else who called in to give their thoughts on Stuart Scott. We definitely appreciate it. And once again, rest in
Ronnie
peace
Brewer.
to Stuart Scott. Ronnie Brewer as well, absolutely. Everybody who wanted to give the brother a shout out, we definitely appreciate that. Tune in next week, same time, same place, live right here or on demand on the WRS Podcast Network for some more great sports talk. We'll recap the NFL divisional round, preview the championship games, and touch an array of topics and all around the world of sports. So until then, enjoy your week, and we'll see you right back here next time. Be sure to watch everything we do. All of our video content is WarRoomSportsTV.com. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, at WarRoomSports. Anywhere, Instagram's at WarRoomSports. Podcast Network, WRSPN.com. As we always say, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top.
Booyah!
6 to 8. Yeah. War Room Sports. Y'all ready? Let's go. Stay in tune to Jimmy. Know the blueprint. Yo. Every Thursday, 6 to 8, they do this. Shout out to Dev, PJ, B. Austin, Doc Bay on replay. WarRoomSports.com. Get that mobile app. If not, dial 323-140012. They be going and you sensitive, then oh well. Yeah. Physical podcast, let's talk sports. Showtime like Magic in the box course. Listen live, push one to join in. Rip your team or listen for your enjoyment. Hip-hop scholars, pit stop and knowledge. Should be in sports credits, I ain't talking college. 5 guys, no beef though. Corporate secret, but the streets know. Belafonte, I got a G flow. KC royalty, I'm in beast mode. 2 hours, get your game up. Who's the best in sportscast? You better name us. War Room Sports. Yeah, you know, Jimmy, Dev, DJ, Jack Beck, B. Austin. I'm Jack. Up and coming on the beat.
War Room Sports. www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.